Hello BookTube, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and I guess I'm back. I didn't really have much of a BookTube break. Instead, I chose to do some videos showing you my book purging project. I still have so much to do here at home, but I decided I'm so addicted to BookTube and making videos and chatting with you that I may as well go ahead and show you what I read for Tome Topple, and then of course BookTubeathon is coming very soon. So much for my BookTube break. But anyway, I read 6 books for Tome Topple, and since then I have read 2 more of my tomes, and I've started one more that I don't know yet if I'm going to stick with it right now. It is a book I'm going to read, but I don't know if I'm in the right mood to read it right now. I have it on CD, and I'm into the first disc. But I'll let you know more about that when I get to it. I'm still filming on my old camera. I did get a new SD card, so maybe the quality will be a tiny bit better. The lighting is still not great. This old camera doesn't pick up light as well as my phone, but my phone is still broken. And my only external light that I use that I have that I can move around is my OttLight. And wouldn't you know, the other day when I was filming a little clip for the last video I just uploaded, as soon as I got through filming, I was moving the light. I accidentally knocked it over and broke the bulb. So we have ordered a new bulb online. If it's not one thing, it's another, right? So I finished 6 books. The first one I finished was King's Cage by Victoria Aveyard. This is book 3 in the Red Queen series. I did really enjoy it. It is pretty violent. Throughout the first 2/3 of the book, Mare was being held captive, so it didn't really go anywhere as far as what she was doing, but at the same time we got to see a perspective from a character that was introduced in the book prior to this one. Her name was Cameron, and she was at the camp with the rebellion, and we got to see what was happening with the rebellion through her eyes. Then the last third of the book, when things start to happen, then things kind of join together, and then we get a third perspective, but I think that's a spoiler, so I'm not going to tell you who the third perspective is, because it's kind of a plot twist, and if you're still, reading the first one or the second one of the series, I don't want to spoil that. There's still one more in the series. Maybe I can get it read this year and get it finished. I also read the novella Cruel Crown, which is 2 novellas, just prior to Tome Topple, which was kind of the reason I didn't start Tome Topple until July 1st. So for me, my 2 weeks of Tome Topple was July 1st through the 14th, and so that's what I'm counting, even though that wasn't the official Tome Topple. Anyway, so I listened to this on CD from the library. I listened to just about 2 discs per day. There was 14 discs, and I got it done in just about a week. So yay, I was excited about it. And that, of course, can count as a book in a series. There were several challenges for Tome Topple. By the way, I forgot to mention, you guys probably already know this, Tome Topple was created by Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. Lots of great hosts. There's a Goodreads group. There's Twitter sprints, there's all kinds of stuff. There was Instagram challenges. I only did a couple of those this time. I showed my TBR, and then I think I did one other one, but I can't remember what it was. So I did complete all of the reading challenges, though. And along with my graphic novel, I also did 2 buddy reads, and most of these were from a series. I think actually all of these that I read were from a series. And my other buddy read was my adult book. So this is what I counted as my graphic novel. I also read this with Elizabeth Tyree from the channel Elizabeth Tyree, and this is Obsidio, the 3rd and final book in the Illuminate Files by Amie, Kaufman, and Kristoff. We really enjoyed this. As I've mentioned before with this series, there's absolutely no swearing or foul language in it at all, because it's censored. So, human nature, though, part of the problem I have with this, it's a fun book. I love the storyline, all the twists and turns. It's crazy. But even though there's not one single bad word in this book, there's all these blank spaces. And so, human nature, when you're reading it, you have to try to figure out what word goes there. So you end up going through every bad word you can think of that might fit in that space. So when you get done with this book, you've still got so much foul language going around in your head, and those words are not in my vocabulary. I don't like having them spinning around in my head either. So that's my only problem with this. But I get it, you know, it fits with the story. It's part of the fun of it, I guess, if that's fun to you. But that's the only aspect of it that is, you know, I don't know, that is just not up my alley, I suppose would be a good way to put it. So anyway, I did have a lot of fun reading the series. I kind of would like to go back now and start at the beginning, read them again, and just pick up on all the little clues that are scattered throughout. Now that I know the ending and I know some different things about it, it might be kind of fun to go back. I would like to listen to them on audio too. I hear that that's a whole different experience, and I don't know, I don't think my library has any of those, and I might have to just get them on Audible or something, but I think that would be a lot of fun. Okay, so then I read that in print. I only had one other book that I read in print, and it technically wasn't long enough for Tome Topple, but I didn't realize that, and I'd been saving it for Tome Topple, and so I read it anyway. It was 470 pages, The Heart of Betrayal, the second book in the Remnant Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson. I loved this. I have thoroughly enjoyed these first two books. Really looking forward to the third one. I had it technically on my TBR, but I didn't get to it. The Beauty of Darkness. I'd like to get to it sometime during the rest of this year and go ahead and finish up this series. There's also a novella called Morgan that I can get on my Kindle, so I need to do that as well. But these stories are just so well crafted. The characters, there is several different perspectives. I just love them. It is just light on the fantasy. It's just kind of mysterious, but not heavy on the magic. The first book is The Kiss of Deception, and it's basically about a princess who is kind of being forced into an arranged marriage with a prince, and she runs away. The prince goes after her. Also, an assassin comes after her, and you get a perspective of all three, but you don't know which one's the prince and which one's the assassin. And it goes from there, and it's really, really well done, and I absolutely love the series so far. Then another book I listened to on audio was Brisingr by Christopher Paolini. I started out listening to this on overdrive, but I didn't start it until I only had maybe 5 days left before it was going to expire, and it's a 30-hour audiobook, so I sped it up as much as I could. I think 2.0 is as high as you can go on overdrive, and I still had about 6 hours of it left when it expired, or maybe 5.5, I don't know, something like that. So I went to the library and I got the CDs, and I was able to finish it up over the next couple of days, so that I was finished by the time my Tome Topple ended. And it was so good. I really think I enjoyed this one more than even Aragon, and especially Eldest. Eldest has been my least favorite so far, just because it was kind of hard to get into. Now I feel like I know the characters better, and I was able to follow it better, and maybe speeding it up helped too, because it is a long book, and I think over 700 pages, maybe over, yeah, it's well over 700 pages. So I did really enjoy it, and I'm definitely going to read the fourth one as well. Then my other buddy read, and also my adult book, A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. This is the first book in the Mark of the Lion trilogy. I buddy read this with Lisa from Lycan Books, and we both had some mixed feelings about it. It was very barbaric, and I guess if you've read a lot of fiction about ancient Rome, then you would expect that. I guess I've really read anything set in ancient Rome. I did enjoy it, but there weren't a lot of characters that were very likable, and there was a startling ending, and I'm not sure if it really did end like you are led to believe that it ended. I'm kind of hoping it didn't. So I'm looking forward to the next one. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I'm glad that I read it. I've been hearing really good things about Francine Rivers. Now, Lisa had also read Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers, and she liked it a lot more. So I think that will probably be the case with me as well. I'm hoping that Redeeming Love is not going to be quite as barbaric as Voice in the Wind. This is on the Audible romance package. To me, the romance in this book is a very small part of it. There's so much more going on that doesn't have anything to do with romance. And I don't really know why it's on the Audible romance package, but I'm glad that it is, because I have that, and so that enabled me to read this at no extra cost. So yeah, if you have the Audible romance package and you've been interested in this, then check it out. This is the only one of the trilogy that's on the romance package, so if I listen to the others on Audible, I will have to use a credit or buy them to listen to them. So one more that I got done during Tome Topple is City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. This is book 5 in the Mortal Instruments series. This I think I enjoyed a little bit more than the previous one or two as well. Still not a favorite. This is definitely a series that I started reading because of BookTube. When I started watching BookTube and making BookTube videos, so many of the first BookTubers that I watched were reading this series because it's your basic YA fantasy paranormal kind of stuff. So I started reading it, and I'm just not a quitter. So, you know, I'm going to go ahead and read it. And it is interesting. You know, demons and werewolves and all that stuff is really not my cup of tea, but I just kind of wanted to see what it was all about. So I decided to go ahead and read them in publication order with the Infernal Devices. So even after Tome Topple was over, I still had Clockwork Princess checked out online, I think through Access 360, which is another library subscription service. So I decided to go ahead and listen to this that next week after Tome Topple. This I did enjoy, maybe not quite as much as Clockwork Prince. There's a love triangle. There was a moment near the end when the main two thought that they were done for, and they kind of got ahead of themselves with their physical relationship. Kind of wish that, you know, that hadn't been there. I always hate to see teenagers, you know, jumping the gun on that sort of thing, but you know, it is what it is. And the book itself was not graphic, so that was good. So I've now finished the Infernal Devices trilogy, and I will probably go right on pretty soon and read the last of the Mortal Instruments. So that is everything that I read for Tome Topple, plus one the next week. I also had one other tome that I read the next week. I sped through this so fast on Audible because this was my book club book for the public library. We had our meeting last Thursday. This is Beneath a Scarlet Sky by Mark Sullivan. This is historical fiction. This is fantastic. This book is set in Italy in World War II. You don't hear much about Italy and their involvement in World War II. If you enjoy World War II fiction, I think you ought to pick this up. This is really, really good. It starts out, our main character, Pino, is a real person, but the author tells us in the prologue that he has fictionalized the account and added some things, you know, to make it a full novel, but that the character Pino is a real person who he did interview. Pino is a young boy in, I believe at first he's living in a monastery. I think he's there to keep him safe from the bombing and things like that. So him and his brother get involved in helping some Jews escape through the mountains, and that happens when he's younger. Then when he's getting ready to be drafted, his parents and his uncle think it's best for him to come back and go ahead and join the Nazi military to in order to get him into a position where he will not be hurt. And he really doesn't want to do it, but he during his training he gets his fingers injured. Through a series of events, he ends up being the driver for a really high up general in the Nazi party. So he's able to become a spy, and it's just fantastic. This book is so good. I really recommend it. If you enjoy World War II fiction, then you'll definitely want to pick this one up. So then on my TBR of 11 books, the ones I didn't get to The Beauty of Darkness, which I've already mentioned. I didn't get to Kingdom Keepers 3, Disney of Shadow, but this is the one I have started in my car. I'm about 2/3 through the first disc. I have it on CD from the library. It's a 10-disc set. So if I can get it done, if it looks like I can get it done by the beginning of Tome Topple, I might go ahead and go through it. But this first disc, I'm not really understanding what's happening yet. I'm having a hard time following it. So I'm going to have to go back through and listen to it again. So I'll decide today while I'm in the car if I'm going to go ahead and finish it now or wait put it on the back burner till after Booktube-a-thon. Then the other book I had kind of hoped to get to was Ship of Magic. I did have this and Mad Ship borrowed on Hoopla. I didn't get to either one of them, so at some point I'd like to get these read this year, but they are long, chunky books. So we'll see. So that's almost everything that I've read so far in the month of July. I have also read a couple of Sunshine State books, and I'm still working on reading some romances for the Summer Romance Book Bingo. I just finished up a buddy read for a romance that I was reading. I will talk about all my romances that I've read this summer at the end of the summer when I do a wrap-up for that. Should be back soon with more videos, especially Booktube-a-thon, and I'll have a book haul after the end of the month and things like that. So if you participated in Tome Topple and I have not seen your video, or if you don't do videos, share with me down in the comments what you read for Tome Topple. I would love to know. So that's all for this video. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.